It's race number 5, and it's the first race on this list that we didn't win. It's actually the first race on this list that neither Williams finished. It is just the 1989 Brazilian Grand Prix. Last ever run at that superb track in Rio, the old Japaregua circuit.
Japaregua, yep.
And really the start of something big, the first race for Williams Renault, Thierry Boutsen and Riccardo Patrese just in those FW12s, which had taken a little bit of a pounding the previous year, being naturally aspirated cars with Judd engines versus the turbo cars, primarily the McLaren Hondas. And it was just a year in which we pretty much had 1 year off in '88 being main protagonists at the front, and we came straight back. And Riccardo, I think, was quickest in qualifying 1. Back in those days we had Friday qualifying, and then that lap time secured him a front row slot alongside Ayrton on pole. It's the coolest opening lap in Williams history. Gerhard Berger qualified 3rd between the two Williams. Thierry Boutsen was 4th in our other car. And I think in terms of the top 3, Gerhard from P3 got the best start, Riccardo from P2 got the second best start, and Ayrton from pole got the least effective start of the top 3. So what do you have? You have a 3-way into the first corner. Ayrton sort of jinking this way and that way, trying to work out which one to defend. Gerhard forcing the issue on the inside. And just Riccardo just sweeps around the outside of them, and of course just kisses the McLaren, which in turn bumps it into the Ferrari. The McLaren's wing goes skyward. Unfortunately, it came down and broke bits of Williams' bodywork. Boutsen's mirror just gets shot off by Ayrton's front wing. Unfortunately, all of those bits went into Thierry's side pods and engine duct, and the engine cried enough after 5 laps of that contamination. But it's just, for me, the coolest opening lap. But what it meant was it allowed a Williams 1-2. That was how we started our career with Renault, 1-2 at the opening lap of the '89 Brazilian Grand Prix. It's like you're watching Riccardo Patrese at a test session, because essentially the guys who went into turn 1 with him, 3-way for the lead, are both now spun or crawling. He looks like he's all by himself. It's just phenomenal. He's got about 3 or 4 seconds by the time they get to turn 3 or 4 or something. And of course, it's another Williams in second. So it doesn't matter that neither car finished, as perhaps you would expect in a debut race with a new engine, a new engine partner. But I just think it's such a cool race. It just looks so great being back out front again. Riccardo just really basically out-muscling Ayrton Senna and, of all people, into the first corner of the Brazilian Grand Prix, and of course Gerhard Berger to boot. So it's just a very cool moment, just a very cool opening first lap, I think.
And very nice looking cars, those two, I thought.
Yeah, of course that was the FW12C, very elegant little car, and the McLaren Hondas were beautiful things, and of course you had the first John Barnard Ferrari, I think, didn't you? That, of course, wasn't it the case that, and of course it was the first car to have the semi-automatic gearbox that had been so unreliable in testing, that hadn't Nigel booked himself like a 5 o'clock flight, the British Airways 5 o'clock flight from Rio back to London, thinking race starts at 2, I'll be leaving the circuit by about 2:45 or something, plenty of time to get to the airport. And of course it held together for the first time in months, and it wouldn't hold together again for about another 6 or 7 races. But Nigel won that race, his first race after Williams. So it was just very, very cool. And little things like Johnny Herbert finishing 4th, given sort of the sort of physical difficulty he was greatly suffering with after his F3000 accident.
Yeah.
It's just a very cool Grand Prix. It's a very cool Grand Prix, the 1989 Brazilian Grand Prix.
In a beautiful part of the world.
I never went, sadly, but yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's a cliche to say that Rio is beautiful, but it was beautiful from a Formula One sense as well, because inevitably everybody stayed in 2 hotels, so everyone was mixing all the time and getting on, big swimming pools, lots happening. It was brilliant. Anyway, it was a good circuit too, with that back straight. I think it's always nice to be able to see a back straight from the pits. It doesn't happen very often. A little bit, I mean, in Zandvoort it's not a back straight, but we can see the Hans Rug from behind the pits, which is nice. I'm just trying to think of an equivalent.
Oh, the Nordschleife, the old Nürburgring, you had that.
Yeah, the old Nürburgring, and to some extent you have it at Bahrain, but it's a little bit far away.
Brands Hatch.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I really miss that.
Which is where we're going next, actually. So if you want to lead with that.